She wasn't supposed to be there. The military base had clear signs, no aliens allowed beyond this point. But curiosity was a dangerous thing. And for Lyra, a young alien girl from the outer colonies, curiosity always won. She moved through the cold steel hallways, her bare feet silent on the smooth floor. Her skin shimmered in the dim blue lights, soft violet and glowing faintly. She wasn't a soldier, not even a technician. She was just ... a guest, one of the many alien diplomats brought in for peaceful cooperation. But she was bored. Tired of the small rooms, the cold food, the quiet stares from humans. And when she saw the lab door slightly open, it's a strange light coming from inside. She couldn't help herself. Lyra stepped inside. The room smelled like metal, fire, and something else. Something sharp, glowing vials lined the shelves. Machines buzzed quietly in the background, but her eyes landed on one bottle. It was alone on a table, glowing orange, no label, no warning. Her heart thumped in her chest. Something about it pulled her closer. She looked around, no cameras, no guards, no one watching. She reached out slowly, fingers trembling. The vial was warm, almost alive. "I'll just look," she whispered. But her hand tilted the bottle before she even realized it. Just one drop touched her lips. It was sweet, then bitter, then burning. A scream rose in her throat, but it never came out. Her body jerked back, hitting the floor. Her hands gripped the metal tightly. Her skin heating up, her spine arched. Her breathing grew sharp. Something was wrong, very wrong. From the shadows of the hallway, a human soldier froze. He had seen her enter, thought to stop her, but now it was too late. The girl writhed on the floor, her eyes wide, glowing, her skin pulsing with energy. The soldier Lance Corporal Jacob Hale ran to her. "Hey, what did you do?" he shouted. Kneeling beside her, her voice was weak, broken. I drank it. I don't know why." Jacob looked at the table, his face turning pale. "Oh no. That's not medicine. That's a prototype." He grabbed her wrist, felt her racing pulse. "You drank the HFY combat serum." She didn't understand, but her body did. Her muscles tightened, her pupils dilated, and something inside her chest growled, "Help me," she whispered, but her voice wasn't soft anymore. It had a tone, aggressive, wild, and somehow desperate. Jacob cursed under his breath. "You weren't supposed to touch anything in here?" She stared at him, confused, afraid, and burning. "Why is my body so hot? What is this feeling?" "It was made for humans," Jacob muttered, lifting her gently. "Special ops soldiers for war zones, not for you." He carried her out of the lab, her body trembling against him. His arms were strong, but her skin burned against his chest. He pushed open the medbay doors with his shoulder. "Emergency override, alien exposure," he shouted. The medic rushed over. "Human serum contact?" he asked, shocked. Jacob nodded. "She drank it." "I don't know how much." The medic looked at Lyra, then back at Jacob. "She's not going to survive if the serum completes the rewrite. She's not human," Jacob said. "But she's alive. We have to try." The medic injected a stabilizer into her arm, but it only made her twitch harder. Her eyes locked onto Jacob again, and this time she didn't blink. "I don't know what's happening to me," she whispered, "but I want to be near you." Jacob froze. The medic noticed it too. "Oh no. She's imprinting." "Imprinting?" Jacob asked. "Like bonding?" "Worse," the medic said. "She's locking on to the first life form she recognizes during transformation. She's turning into something else. And now, you're part of it." Lyra whimpered, her body finally going limp. Her breathing slowed. Her hand reached out, grabbing Jacob's shirt. "Please, don't leave me." Jacob looked down at the strange alien girl, so small, so dangerous, and now His problem, as alarms began to ring across the base. He realized this was just the beginning. Asterisk, the room was quiet, too quiet. Except for her breathing heavy, shaky, wild Lyra sat on the edge of the hospital bed, her hands gripping the sheets. Like they were the only thing holding her down, Jacob stood a few feet away, arms crossed, face tense. He hadn't slept. He hadn't even blinked much. He was watching her, studying her movements. Waiting for another outburst, she hadn't spoken for nearly 10 minutes. Her skin still shimmered strangely, glowing under the dim light, but it was the way she looked at him that made everything worse, not with fear, not with confusion, but with something else. Something raw. Suddenly, she gasped. Her body jerked. She clutched her chest. "Why is it so hot again?" she cried. Jacob stepped forward. "Lyra, stay calm. I can't." She shouted, eyes glowing brighter. Her voice was different now. Not broken, not weak. It was louder, stronger, deeper. She fell off the bed, knees hitting the cold floor. Her back arched again, fingers clawed the tiles. "It's like fire in my blood," she screamed. "I can't stop it. I can't." Jacob knelt beside her, carefully but firmly. I know it's the serum," he said softly. "You drank something made for humans in war, not for someone like you." Her eyes snapped to his. "Then fix it." Jacob swallowed hard. There is no antidote, not yet. Her whole body tensed. Then, suddenly, she collapsed forward into his arms. Her skin against his was burning too hot for comfort, but she didn't let go. Instead, she wrapped her arms tightly around his waist. "I don't know what's happening to me, human," she whispered. "But when I'm near you, it's easier." Jacob felt a chill run down his spine. She was trembling, but not from fear, from something else. He looked up at the mimetic, watching from the other side of the glass wall. The man just shook his head. "She's bonding," he mouthed silently. It started. Jacob didn't know what to say. This wasn't like a normal alien interaction. This was something deep, powerful, and possibly irreversible. He gently helped Lyra back onto the bed. She didn't resist. But she wouldn't stop staring at him. "You're changing," Jacob said quietly. "And I think your mind is fighting your body." "My body is winning," she said, in a voice full of panic. "I don't think I'll stay the same after this." "What are you feeling right now?" he asked, carefully. She blinked slowly, her chest rising and falling rapidly. "Everything. Pain, heat, hunger, and this strange need. When I look at you, it gets worse." Jacob leaned back, trying to give her space, but her hand shot out, grabbing his wrist tightly. "No, don't go," she said, voice trembling. "I'm scared of what I'll become if you leave." He looked at her hand on his. It was shaking, but strong. Strong in a way she hadn't been just hours ago. The serum wasn't killing her. It was making her something else. The intercom buzzed. "Jacob, bring her to containment sector B." The commanding officer's voice ordered. "She's a threat to base security." Jacob pressed the button. "She's not going anywhere, Corporal." "That's an order." The voice snapped. "You disobey, and you'll face charges." Lyra heard the voice too. She pressed herself closer to Jacob. "Are they going to hurt me?" Jacob looked into her glowing violet eyes. Her fear felt real. Not just from the serum, but from how no one else cared to understand what she was going through. "No one's going to hurt you," he said firmly. "Not while I'm here." The medic entered quickly, whispering, "You need to be careful. She's developing fast, physically and emotionally, if she bonds completely. She never lets you go." Jacob nodded. "I already know," he said, then looked back at Lyra. "Tell me, Lyra, what do you remember right after you drank it?" She shivered, her fingers clutching the blanket now. "I felt like something inside me woke up, something that had been sleeping my whole life." Jacob frowned. And now? I feel like I'll die if I'm not near you, she said quietly. I don't want to feel this way, but I can't stop it. Her voice cracked at the end. Jacob saw tears begin to fall, thin glowing streaks like melted crystals. Even her. Tears weren't the same anymore. He reached out, gently wiped them away. Her skin cooled slightly under his touch. She closed her eyes and sighed. I don't even know what I'm becoming, but if I lose control, promise me you'll stop me. Jacob stayed silent for a long moment, then finally whispered, I'll protect you, even from yourself. Outside the med bay, soldiers were already gathering. Orders had been given, contain the alien girl, secure the base, but inside that small room, one human and one transforming alien girl sat together, bound now by more than just a mistake. Bound by something deeper, and it was only going to get more complicated from here. The base lights flickered overhead, outside the med bay. Soldiers paced with weapons loaded. Inside, Lyra sat still, staring at her trembling hands. They didn't feel like her hands anymore. Too strong, too steady, too ... Human, Jacob stood near the door, blocking it with his body. His jaw clenched, his mind racing. He wasn't supposed to be doing this, protecting a possibly dangerous alien. But something inside him said she wasn't the real threat. Not her. Not yet. The medic returned, holding a tablet with fresh data. He looked nervous. It's worse than we thought, he said to Jacob. Jacob's eyes narrowed. How bad? The medic tapped the screen, showing Lyra's vitals. The serum is rewriting her DNA, merging it with combat-level enhancements. Bone density, strength, instinct, response all rising fast. Lyra glanced up at them. I heard that, she said softly. You make it sound like I'm turning into a monster. No, Jacob said quickly. You're not a monster. The medic added quietly, but you're not fully you anymore either. Lyra dropped her gaze. I didn't mean to drink it, she whispered. I just ... wanted to know what it was. Jacob sighed and walked toward her. I believe you, he said, kneeling beside the bed. But now we need to figure out what to do, because this serum wasn't made for someone like you. What does that mean? She asked. Jacob exchanged a look with the medic before speaking. This serum was made for human soldiers. It was built to push us to the edge, speed up healing, increase focus, even aggression. But it also comes with emotional shifts, territorial instincts, bonding triggers, bonding. She asked slowly, You mean ... like mating? The room fell silent for a second. Jacob looked away, his cheeks tensing. Yes, he said at last. For humans, the serum creates a loyalty to the unit, to protect others. But in your case, your mind is locking onto the nearest person you recognize as safe. Me, Lyra blinked slowly, her heart thumped faster. Then I'm not thinking clearly. No, you are, the medic said, but your feelings might be amplified. More intense than normal. She looked at Jacob again, her voice quieter. So ... this isn't real. Jacob didn't answer right away. He didn't want to lie, but he also didn't know what the truth really was anymore. Her eyes weren't wild now. They were sad, lonely, and for a second, he forgot she was glowing, changing. She just looked like a girl who needed someone. I don't know what's real right now, he admitted, but I know I'm not letting them take you away. The door behind them opened suddenly. 2 soldiers stepped in, rifles up. Corporal Hale. Step aside. We have orders to remove the alien. Jacob didn't move. She's not a threat, he said calmly. She's stabilizing. We just need time. The taller soldier frowned. She's not registered for human tech exposure. That makes her a liability. Lyra stood slowly. She didn't hide behind Jacob. She walked beside him, eyes glowing, posture steady, her voice calm. Do I look like a threat to you? The soldiers hesitated. Something about her voice was commanding now. Not pleading, not panicked, controlled. "We'll report this," one soldier said, stepping back. "HQ won't be happy." When the door closed again, Jacob turned to her. "You didn't panic this time." Lyra gave a small smile. "Maybe the serum is helping me. ... Focus." Then she looked down at her hand. "It's strange. I feel stronger, but also like I'm not myself anymore." "You're still you," Jacob said. "You're just ... upgraded." Lyra laughed softly, then stopped. "Jacob, what happens if I change too much?" He looked at her seriously. "Then we adapt together." Her eyes softened, and for a moment, she looked peaceful. But only for a moment. Suddenly, her back arched again. She groaned, falling to her knees. Jacob rushed to her side. "What is it?" She clenched her teeth. "It's happening again." Her voice dropped into a growl. "I can't hold it back." The medic grabbed a tranquilizer, but Jacob shook his head. "Wait, give her a chance." Lyra slammed her hand on the floor, leaving a crack in the steel. Then, slowly, Her body relaxed. She gasped for breath, but she was still conscious, still present. "I fought it," she whispered. "I controlled it." Jacob nodded, impressed. "You're adapting." She looked up at him, eyes wide, but steady. "What am I becoming, Jacob?" He helped her back onto the bed. "I don't know," he said honestly, "but you're still you. And I'm not leaving you alone to figure it out." From the corner of the room, the medic was already taking notes. "She's the first alien to survive the serum, maybe even improve from it." And that's when the thought hit Jacob. What if this accident wasn't a mistake? What if it was the beginning of something bigger? Because Lyra wasn't just surviving, she was becoming something no one had ever seen before. And the military, they wouldn't let that stay hidden for long. Lyra stood in front of the mirror, staring at her reflection. But the girl in the glass didn't look like the same one who arrived at the human base 3 days ago. Her skin still had its violet hue, but now it shimmered more deeply. Her eyes were brighter, glowing softly even in darkness, and her body, once small and fragile, was now firm, toned, stronger. She touched her face slowly. Her fingers still looked like hers, but she could feel the heat just beneath the skin. It wasn't pain anymore. It was power, and it scared her. Behind her, Jacob stood silently, arms crossed. He watched as she studied herself. He had noticed the changes too, not just physical, but emotional. She was calmer now, more focused, less afraid, but also more intense, especially when she looked at him. "Do you think I'm still me?" she asked softly. Jacob walked over, standing beside her. "You still sound like you, still care like you. That's what matters." Lyra turned to face him. "But I feel different inside," she said, voice trembling. "I don't just think. I feel too much, like my thoughts are mixed with instincts I don't understand." Jacob looked into her glowing eyes. "What kind of instincts?" She hesitated, then took a slow step closer to him. Her hand touched his arm, warm and steady. "When you leave the room, my chest hurts. When you speak to someone else, I feel angry. I want to be close to you. Always." Jacob's throat tightened. The medic had warned him. The serum didn't just increase strength and speed. It affected emotional pathways, especially loyalty, attachment, and protection. "Lyra," Jacob said gently, "that's the serum working in your system. It's enhancing your feelings." She nodded slowly. "I know, but what if the feelings are real?" Jacob didn't answer. He couldn't. Because deep down, part of him wondered the same. Before he could speak, the alarm light blinked red. An alert. Jacob tapped his comm. "What's going on?" "Unauthorized breach near Containment Lab 4. A voice responded. "Someone tried to access the locked serum files." Jacob's eyes narrowed. He looked at Lyra. "You need to stay here. Lock the door. Lyra's expression changed instantly protective. Worried? No. I'm coming with you. It could be dangerous, Jacob said. She stepped forward, firm. I'm dangerous too now. He hesitated, then nodded. Fine. But stay behind me. Together, they moved through the base. Lyra walking with more confidence than ever, her steps silent, precise. Even her senses seemed sharper. She could hear whispers from rooms far down the hall. Smell weapons oil from behind sealed doors. And most of all, she could feel Jacob's heartbeat when he got nervous. They reached the containment wing. The lights flickered, door half open, inside. 2 soldiers lay unconscious, not dead, but knocked out cold. Jacob raised his weapon. Lyra lowered herself into a crouch, instincts rising. Suddenly, a man stepped out, one of the scientists, holding a case of vials. His eyes widened when he saw them. You are not supposed to be here, he said quickly. Jacob pointed his gun. Put the case down now, but the man didn't listen. He turned to run before Jacob could react. Lyra moved, a blur, faster than anything he'd ever seen. She reached the scientist, grabbed the case, lay and twisted it from his hands in one clean motion, then pushed him back against the walnut. Hurting, just stopping. Who are you stealing this for? She demanded. The man trembled. They want more tests. On her, he said, glancing at Lyra. Her transformation is working. The generals want to recreate it. Jacob stepped in, grabbing the man by the collar. You are going to experiment on her again? She's proof the serum can bond. Across species, the scientist said, she's not just an accident anymore. She's the future. Lyra stepped back, clutching the case of vials, her mind spinning. I didn't ask to be your experiment, she whispered. I didn't ask to be anything. Jacob looked at her, and in that moment, he knew she wasn't going to be safe here for long. Later that night, back in her room, Lyra sat on the floor, knees pulled to her chest. Jacob entered quietly. She didn't look at him. They see me as a thing now, she said, voice hollow. Not a person, you're not a thing, he said gently. You're someone they can't understand. She looked up at him, eyes softer, but filled with sadness. What if I lose myself completely? He sat beside her. You haven't lost anything yet. You're just becoming something new. She leaned her head on his shoulder. I just want to stay near you. When I'm with you, I feel more like myself. Jacob looked down at her and slowly wrapped an arm around her shoulders. You're not alone, Lyra, he whispered. Not while I'm here. But even as he held her, he could feel the weight of what was coming. The military wouldn't stop. They'd want to control her, replicate her, maybe even take her away. And Jacob was running out of time to protect the girl who was no longer fully alien, and no longer just a mistake. The next morning started with the sound of boots, heavy, fast, and coming straight down the corridor. Jacob was already awake. He had barely slept. Lyra was curled in the corner, asleep, wrapped in a blanket that barely covered her growing frame. She looked peaceful, but outside that door chaos was building. The intercom crackled. Corporal Jacob Hale, report to command room immediately. Jacob stood slowly, rubbing his eyes. He knew this day would come. He walked over to Lyra and gently placed his hand on her shoulder. Her eyes opened fast, bright, glowing, alert. She sat up quickly. Is something wrong? Jacob gave a small nod. They're calling me in. Probably about you. She stood up. I want to come. No, he said softly. It's safer if you stay here. Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone but me. Lyra hesitated. Her fingers gripped his arm. Her voice low and unsure. Will they take me away? Jacob looked at her seriously. Not if I can stop it. He stepped out of the room. The hallways were crawling with officers and military brass. Every conversation stopped when he walked by. Eyes followed him like he was carrying a weapon. No. One could see, inside the command room, screens lit the walls Lyra's images. Test results and security footage playing again and again. At the center, Commander Brixton sat with arms folded. Cold expression, steel eyes. "You've been babysitting the alien girl for 4 days," Brixton said sharply. Jacob stood tall. "I've been protecting her. She's not a child," the commander snapped. "She's an unregistered biological weapon. And you let her access classified areas? She assaulted a scientist last night." "We have video." Jacob's jaw tightened. "She didn't hurt him. She stopped him from stealing classified material." Brixton slammed his hand on the table. "That girl is not your responsibility anymore. She's property of the United Military. Research Division now." "No," Jacob said firmly. "She's not property. She's a person." "You're out of line, Corporal," Brixton growled. "You formed an emotional attachment completely unacceptable." "She's not just some lab mistake," Jacob fired back. "She's alive, thinking, adapting. She's more human than half the people in this room." There was silence for a moment. Then Brixton leaned forward slowly. "Then maybe you can't explain this. Her blood samples show permanent genomic fusion. The serum didn't just enhance her, it bonded with her species. Do you know what that means?" Jacob didn't speak, so Brixton continued. "It means if we isolate the result, we can make thousands of soldiers just like her, faster, stronger, loyal to command. You think this is about feelings? It's about evolution." Jacob shook his sigh. "Head slowly. You don't see her. You only see what she can be used for." Brixton stood up, walking to the window that overlooked the training grounds. "Orders have been issued. She's being moved to Central Research Lab today, sedated, controlled, and kept under full observation." Jacob's fists clenched. "She's not a test subject. She's not your girlfriend either," Brixton snapped. "She's military property, and if you get in the way again, you'll be discharged and arrested." Jacob didn't respond. He turned and walked out of the room, his blood boiling, his mind racing. Back at Lyra's room, she sat, waiting. When the door opened, her eyes searched his face instantly. "What did they say?" she asked, voice already nervous. Jacob closed the door behind him and leaned against it. "They want to move you to a lab?" Her breath caught. "Will I be locked up?" He nodded slowly. "They're not interested in helping you anymore. They want to use you." Lyra stood. "I won't go. They'll have to drag me out." "They will," Jacob said. "They're bringing a full unit. They'll try to sedate you. Maybe worse." She looked at him, eyes wide. "What do we do?" Jacob walked over and took her hands. "We run." Lyra blinked in shock. "Run? But where?" "There's an old hangar on the edge of the base," he whispered. "I know a way through the service tunnels. If we make it before sunrise, we can reach one of the civilian ships." She gripped his hands tighter. "You'd give up everything for me?" Jacob didn't even hesitate. "You're worth more than their orders." The moment was interrupted by the loud stomp of boots. The unit was coming. They were out of time. Jacob reached under the bed and pulled out a small pack. Emergency gear, fake ID chips, and a cloaking blanket. "Put this on," he said quickly. "Don't stop for anything." Lyra threw on the cloak. Her body shimmered and vanished from plain sight. Jacob opened the vent behind her bed. "Crawl fast, turn left, then down the ladder. What about you?" She whispered. "I'll follow right behind," he said. "I promise." As the room filled with the sound of soldiers outside, Lyra disappeared into the vent. Jacob turned to the door and unlocked it. The soldiers burst in, but found an empty room. Just Jacob standing there with calm eyes. "Where is she?" The commander barked. Jacob raised his hands. "I don't know." She ran. While the base searched every room, every hallway, Lyra crawled deeper into the tunnels, heart racing, and Jacob. He was about to risk everything, his career, his freedom, maybe even his life, to protect the girl they never saw as anything more than a test subject. But to him, she was more than that now, much more. Asterisk darkness filled the old tunnel. The only light came from Lyra's skin. Softly glowing in the dark, she moved carefully, her feet silent on the dust-covered floor. Each step felt heavier than the last, not because of fear, but because of what? She felt growing inside her. The serum had changed her body. But now, it was changing her mind. She could hear more, feel more, smell more. Even sense Jacob's presence, though he hadn't caught up yet. She reached a small door at the end of K's. She reached a small door at the end of K. The tunnel, old metal, rusted shut. One push with her hand, and it snapped off its hinges like paper. She didn't even gasp. Strength had become natural now. Too natural. Outside, the early light of dawn painted the hangar in soft orange. The cold wind rushed in, but she didn't feel it. Her body no longer reacted to heat or cold the same way. She stepped into the abandoned hangar, looking around, empty crates, an old ship under a torn tarp. Her heart beat faster not from fear, but from instinct, and suddenly, her ears picked. Up movement. Boots, not Jacob's. Heavier, faster, more. She turned and hid behind a large crate. A squad of soldiers entered from the far end. Weapons ready. She should be here. One of them said, "Thermal readings show life signs." Lyra closed her eyes, her breathing slowed. She tried to calm herself, but the tension was too much, and then her vision shifted. She didn't see the hangar the same way anymore. Everything became sharper. The soldiers glowed with heat. She could see their heartbeats, their weak points, her body prepared to move at attack. But she stopped herself. "I'm not a weapon," she whispered. "I'm still me." Then gunfire. A shot hit the crate behind her. She rolled out. Eyes flashing, the soldiers raised their rifles. But before they could shoot again, a voice yelled, "Stop." Jacob burst through the side door, holding up his arms. "She's not attacking. Stand down." The soldiers hesitated. Jacob ran too. Her side and pulled her behind cover. "Are you okay?" he asked quickly. She nodded, but her voice was strange. "I almost lost control." Jacob looked at her closely. Her pupils were narrow like an animal's, her breathing deep and measured. "Lyra, talk to me. What's happening?" She placed her hand over her heart. "I feel everything more, like my emotions have no off switch. I wanted to protect myself, but the way I thought about it wasn't right." Jacob swallowed hard. "The serum? It's reaching the final phase. What does that mean?" she asked, voice trembling. He looked away for a moment. "It means soon. It'll lock in. Whatever changes have happened will stay. Forever." She stood slowly. "So, I'll never be normal again." Jacob shook his head. "You were never normal to them. But that doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you're rare." Lyra stepped forward, away from him. She looked down at her hands. They looked human almost, but her reflection in a broken panel showed the truth. Her face was glowing, her veins lit like thin wires of energy. Her body was beautiful, but different. "Do you think I'm still ... me?" she asked. Jacob didn't hesitate. "You're still the girl who asked what water tasted like on Earth? You're still the one who smiled when I shared coffee, and the one who saved me from that scientist." Her lips curved slightly into a small smile. "But what if I don't stop changing?" "Then I change with you," he said. "I'm not going anywhere." A deep rumble echoed through the hangar. The base had activated full lockdown. More soldiers would be coming. They didn't have time. Jacob rushed to the old ship and began flipping switches. "It's pre-fueled. Maybe someone was planning to escape with it." Lyra helped him, her hands quicker than his. Her mind worked faster. Now she understood the controls in seconds. "It's like I've flown this before," she said in wonder, "even though I haven't." "The serum's enhancing your memory too," Jacob said, impressed. "You're learning at lightning speed." They activated the engine. It groaned, sputtered, then came to life. The hangar doors slowly opened. Wind howled outside. Lyra looked at Jacob. "Are you sure you want to come with me?" He looked back at the armed soldiers rushing toward them, then at her glowing face. "I've never been more sure of anything." The ship lifted off the ground just as bullets bounced off the hull. Lyra took control, her fingers moving with unnatural precision. As they flew higher into the sky, she glanced at him. "I'm not just a mistake," she said. Jacob smiled. "No, you're the evolution they weren't ready for." Down below, alarms echoed, but it was too late. The girl they wanted to control was gone, and the human who chose her. He wasn't turning back either. The stars stretched wide around them. The small ship moved quietly through deep space. Inside, Lyra sat near the window, watching the galaxies like glowing rivers. Her face was almost peaceful, but her fingers twitched. Every few minutes her body jolted with new energy. The serum inside her was still working, still changing her. Jacob stood in the corner, watching her closely. He hadn't rested much. His eyes were tired, but full of focus. He knew they were safe for now, but not from everything. Lyra turned her head slowly. "Jacob," she said, her voice softer than before. "I can hear your heartbeat from across the room." He smiled faintly. "Fast or slow?" "Fast," she replied, but not from fear. He chuckled, walking over to sit beside her. "Then, what's it from?" She looked at him carefully. "From worry. From trying to figure out what to do with a girl who isn't a girl anymore." Jacob leaned back in his seat. "You're still Lyra, even if you glow a little more." She smiled gently, but the smile faded quickly. "I feel it. Something inside me is pushing harder now. I don't think the serum is finished." Jacob looked at her. "Tell me what you feel." She took a deep breath. "My senses are too sharp. Every noise is louder, every emotion stronger, and when I think about losing you, I panic." Jacob nodded slowly. "The medic warned me. He said the final stage would form a permanent emotional lock. It's like imprinting." Lyra looked down. "I think it already happened." Silence filled the room for a moment. Jacob reached over and held her hand. "I don't care if it's the serum or real. I'm here. You're not alone." But before she could answer, alarms blinked across the ship. The warning lights turned red. A proximity alert. Jacob rushed to the console. "Someone's tracking us," he said. "It's a small ship, probably military." Lyra joined him. Her glowing hands tapped the screen. "They're locking on, but not firing yet." Jacob looked at her. "They want you alive." She nodded, but not free. He took a deep breath. "If we run, they'll chase us across systems. If we fight, we'll be labeled criminals." Lyra stared at the blinking lights. "Then maybe I should give myself up." Jacob turned sharply. "No," he said. "They'll turn you into a weapon, test you, copy you. You'll never be free again." She stepped close to him. "I don't want to hurt anyone, Jacob. But I don't want to hurt you either. I'm not afraid of you," he replied. "You saved me more than once. Now it's my turn." The enemy ship hailed them. "This is United Military Patrol. Power down and prepare for boarding." Jacob glanced at Lyra, then hit the comm. "Negative. We are not surrendering. You are protecting stolen property." The voice replied, "She is not property." Jacob growled. "She's a living being with rights." Lyra placed her hand on his shoulder. "I can end this," she whispered. "Let me go out there." "No," Jacob said quickly. "You're still not stable. I'm stronger now," she interrupted. "But more than that, I trust you. If I go alone, they'll take me. If I go with you, they'll see I'm more than just a test result." Jacob looked into her eyes, and for the first time, he didn't see the glow. He saw the girl who once got lost in a human library, who smiled at the taste of chocolate, who whispered, I feel safe." When he was near, he nodded slowly. "All right, but we do this together." The docking port opened. Lyra stood beside Jacob as the military officers boarded. They raised their weapons. "Step away from the enhanced alien," one barked. Jacob stepped in front of her. "No," he said calmly, "you fire one shot, and I go down with her." The soldiers hesitated, but the lead officer lowered his gun slowly. "She doesn't look like a threat," he said quietly. Lyra stepped forward. "I never was. You made me one, but I'm still in control." The officer stared at her, then at Jacob, then finally nodded. "Headquarters wants answers. But maybe they don't need chains to get them." The soldiers backed away. No shots, no fight. Just quiet retreat. Lyra and Jacob stood alone again in the silent corridor. She turned to him with a smile. "You didn't run? I never will," he replied. And for the first time since the serum entered her body, she felt peace. Because no matter what her body became, her heart still knew who she was. And Jacob? He was the one who never let her forget.